Here is a look at signs and signals. It's so important to note that even though signs represent 1/15 of the book, signs represent 1/3 of your test. Normally, I would like to think that you would do a good job learning and picking up information, even if you were not looking at your screen. If you're just hearing the words, thinking about the things that are being said. You could be eyes closed with AirPods in as you go to sleep, whatever the case might be, and it would be of benefit to you. This video is not like that. You need to be able to see your screen to get the most out of this video. It is very important to know the correct term used for all of your signs. You need to be able to identify them by name. Some signs are very similar to one another, and I will be focusing on those to ensure your success. There are over 80 signs in the book, and they can all be broken down into 4 categories. There are warning signs, construction signs, maintenance signs, regulatory signs, as well as guide and information signs. Warning signs are typically yellow in color and the shape of a diamond. The name of them will often have the word ahead at the end of the term. There are many signs where there is a warning for an upcoming regulatory sign, and the interior image looks very similar. Be certain to never err in terms of, does the sign mean right now, or does the sign mean further ahead? Some examples of this would be railway crossing versus railway crossing ahead, pedestrian crosswalk versus pedestrian crosswalk ahead, even school crosswalk versus school crosswalk ahead. Notice that even within those 2 signs, there's a tiny difference. 1 person on that sign means it's called pedestrian crosswalk, whereas when there are 2 people on the interior image of that sign, then it's going to be called school crosswalk. Knowing these differences is an absolute must. Some other similar signs would be when you have a curve ahead sign versus a right turn ahead sign. Know that a curve will have a rounded edge, whereas you would only call it a turn when it is a 90-degree point within a yellow diamond sign. There are some other similar signs such as winding road ahead versus road slippery when wet. Those types of signs would be easy to confuse if not well studied. There are some other little intricacies, like for maximum speed ahead, they will give you the option of simply choosing maximum speed ahead, when that would be incorrect, as the option you need to choose would be maximum speed ahead and include the number listed on the sign. Another sign that for whatever reason is very commonly mistaken is a hazard marker showing an obstruction. Be aware that this will preface a boulevard where there is a division in the road. Construction and maintenance signs warn you that workers may be present and slowing will be required. These signs are often orange in color and the shape of a diamond. One exception to this would certainly be a flag person ahead sign, which is a unique yellowish green color. Regulatory signs state a specific law that you must do something or must not do something. Many errors can be found within these signs if particular attention is not paid. It's important to know that a green circle represents that everybody facing the sign must follow the direction of the sign. So for example, when there's a left turn arrow inside of a green circle, it means that every lane, all traffic must turn left, whereas if it was a black and white sign, then it means that this lane of traffic must turn left only. A prohibition circle lets you know that you are not allowed to do that particular maneuver. A special note with arrows and green circles is that when you have a straight arrow pointing upwards in a green circle, personally, I would call that all traffic must go straight. However, the book will call it no turns allowed. Please mentally note that school zones often have the requirement to slow to 30 kilometers an hour. Depending on the nature of the school and the ages of children that attend there, you may or may not have to slow to 30, but do know that the yellow-green pentagon would be accompanied with a black and white 30 maximum speed sign if that were the case. It's very important to not pick up speed until after you have passed the school zone end sign. Just keep in mind that school crosswalk ahead, they will be rectangles and diamonds, whereas school area is going to be a pentagon. Parking is prohibited seems like a very straightforward sign, but is often confused with do not stop to wait. Know that parking is prohibited means do not turn off your car, get out of your car, and leave your vehicle unattended. Whereas do not stop to wait simply means do not even pull over for a moment, allowing your car to become still with the engine running. This sign is to deter people from waiting in unsafe areas where it may seem feasible to the driver as an appropriate pickup or drop-off point. Guide and information signs vary in size and color. They let you know where you are or how to get to a certain place. Included in the signs and signals section are things you might see on a traffic light. A flashing red light should be treated the same as a stop sign. Come to a full stop and only proceed when safe to do so. Sometimes you might have all four directions flashing red. This should be treated as a four-way stop sign. If you have a flashing amber light, the key here is you must yield the right of way to pedestrians. So if you're doing a left turn at a flashing amber light, you would have to yield to oncoming cars. If going straight, you would have the right of way over all other vehicles. If you're turning right, you would also have the right of way over all other vehicles. But the thing is, you would have to yield to pedestrians that are in any position at that intersection. Basically, it's important that you treat a flashing yellow light the same as you would a pedestrian crosswalk. We will go much further into detail when we discuss left turns at lights, but just know on the light could be a green arrow or a flashing green arrow. This will let you know that you should proceed with caution in the direction of the arrow. You are protected. So long as nobody breaks the law, you should be able to do your turn right away. They will word it as proceed with caution. Please note that one of the most mistaken concepts in the handbook has to do with what would you do if you had a left turn arrow and at the top of the light standard was a red light. It's important that you understand that the left turn arrow is what controls your behavior. You would proceed with caution in the direction of the arrow. The red light controls the people who want to go straight. The red light controls the people who want to turn right. On a test, they might offer to you that the left turner should stop in the intersection one time. The left turner should stop at the stop line one time before doing their turn. This is false. The left turner should proceed with caution in the direction of the arrow. The red light at the top is not there to control the left turner's behavior. It is there for the others. A special note is that if you are doing a right turn at an intersection with a red light, you may do a right turn on red if safe to do so. First, you must do one full stop at the appropriate area. You would check that no sign prohibits such a turn. You then look for pedestrians and vehicles, and if it's safe to do your turn, you may then proceed. A very special rule that very few people know about. If you were to ask 100 students, better yet, if you were to ask 100 adults that were fully licensed driver, many people do not know this rule. And the rule I'm talking about is, if you come up to an intersection controlled by lights, and your light is red, and on the light standard also appears that left turners have a left turn arrow. What that means is the oncoming traffic would also have a left turn arrow. Because of that, you are prohibited from doing a right turn on red when you are facing a left turn arrow. So just be aware of that, because the oncoming turners will want to take the lanes that you're going to be trying to turn right into. When you are the first car at a red light and your intention is to make a left turn, of course you would love when the light to change to have an arrow, but sometimes this is not the case. If you have just a green light, That means the oncoming cars will have a green light as well. You cannot turn in front of them and get struck. But you also, as the first car, don't wait at the stop line. When the light goes green, it's very important that you pull up into the intersection. You will be out of the oncoming traffic's way, watching the oncoming traffic, watching pedestrians at the end of the turn, and then leaving when safe to do so. So if they were to ask you, when the light goes from red to green and you want to turn left, what should you do? The answer is move into the intersection and yield to oncoming traffic. A transit priority signal is placed on a light standard when a bus is in the extreme right lane and there are 3 lanes going the same direction. Imagine that on the other side of the intersection, the street shrinks to 2 lanes. The bus would get squeezed out in these circumstances. In these cases, the bus will get a transit priority signal, allowing the bus to go first before other cars get a green light. This more or less concludes our look at signs and signals. In the next video, I will simply be going through every sign in the handbook, one after the other, simply giving you the term you need to know for your test. Feel free to increase the playback speed for that video, or if you are already well studied in your signs, feel free to skip past the next video.